Good morning, guys. Hope you're doing well. We had quite a change on the 24-hour difference, which obviously is going to impact the big picture. The big picture is that there's 20 bears versus the one bull. Okay, so still load of bears left, but we have come off extremes. We were minus 30, which is ridiculous. Okay, technicals are okay. They're 56 out of 100. It's calculating these instruments here. We had a weird day yesterday where the VIX was crushed. The small caps also really fell as well. Basically the VIX is getting manipulated and suppressed to avoid panic and fear, which is understandable. But really, if that's red, you know, these should be green, but they weren't. So Dow Jones and the S&P were negative. So a bit of a weird one yesterday. The dollar did okay. The yields curve is still quite risk off. You know, it's very inverted. The change from last week, we saw quite a change on France, DAX, and UK, US 30, and also dollar Swiss. But be careful with dollar Swiss because it's really skewed, and the S&B have been manipulating the price of the Swiss franc as well. So QDB scores, it's quite a bit of green on pound, so it's worth noting. Quite a bit of green on Kiwi, a bit of green on dollar, quite mixed on the euro. The euro yen's obviously got a good score, as you can see, and Aussie is weak because we've got more reds and greens, haven't we? CAD's okay. We're sort of like red and green, but Swiss yen is actually quite strong. So we're seeing a weakening of yen. Why? They've gone long, so price has fallen. They've shorted Aussie, so that probably should do okay. These will probably turn green later because of this. Okay, they've really shorted it, so these should increase in their scores. So let's have a look at the robot. And we did okay yesterday. We had like a £13 profit, which is really good considering we're using 0.01, so that's cool. A little bit hedged right now, and we're probably going to be a little bit hedged going into CPI. It's worth noting that we're going to switch it off tomorrow morning, so if you are following the signals and you've got the copy trading from the bot, you can turn it off tomorrow morning and we can reactivate it on Friday morning. Okay, so just we need to give it a break from CPI because it will just come down and rate stops, and it's going to impact our risk management because we've got quite tight risk management on our robot. It's just going to stop us out. Don't really want that. So do note that GU had a bounce of monthly pivot at 12686. Okay, so very strong level there on a technical view. Okay, ideally we'd want to be below that for shorts. Okay, so that's your monthly pivot support. Probably up to SLC, probably 12720. It's fairly likely, isn't it? So that's the robot taken care of. We're a little bit hedged, which is fine. Bring the market scope over, and we're a little bit strange on the indices. I'll show you why. They're sold gold, so we're coming up to the SLC, or you know, liquidity, and yeah, it's you know, they sell it. We're going to see price come higher, aren't we? I'll show you the indices, and so what happened is that they'd sold, price come up, and then they went long here, so price fell. This is yesterday, so we had a bit of a decline, and they sort of teetered, and then they sold. They had to sell it, didn't they? They sold this candle, this kind of doji candle here, really pumped. And the thing is, we broke yesterday's high. That wick is actually higher than that. It might be hard to see, but we did break yesterday's high, so we've made a higher high now, so we've got to be real careful. Technically quite strong, all right, sideways here, so there's no indication of the sentiment. Technically quite good, quite strong, but they had to sell it, didn't they? Here they had to sell it on that candle. Can't blame them because they're looking at this price action and going, oh, it looks quite bearish, but then of course by selling it en masse, up we go. US 30. And see, they'd sold. You can see that big selling. Oh, that's interesting. They'd actually got paid, so they went long, so they got punished. At this point here, we peaked. Okay, and then they sold it. They sold this here. Yeah, they did, didn't they? Up we come. Real punishment, and chopping a bit. But they're sold at last, so we should be above 37490, and we are just about. So we should be above that low there. Okay, so unless we get a crossover, this is a buy. Okay, so keep an eye on that support 37490. Got to be careful though. We've got all sorts of risk off stuff that's going on in the world. I wouldn't advise probably buying, to be honest with you, but I'm always quite risk averse. I'm quite careful, to be honest with you. So they sold it here-ish, went sideways for like 2 hours, and then we pumped, which is fine because, you know, they'd sold it, so they should get punished. They'd sold it here, so keep an eye on 16643. Okay, and that's it. So that's today's video. I'll try and get a setup for you guys in Discord for gold, like we did yesterday. We made some nice profits, and that's it. So I'll wrap up now. I won't make it a long video, and I wish you a good day. We've got CPI tomorrow, so be careful for that. I'll probably be taking it off, probably, to be fair, depending on how today goes. If we're going to get a ludicrous pump on risk, I might just sit out because it's just a bit boring, to be honest with you. Having a one-way traffic is a little bit boring. So trade safely. I'll speak to you guys tomorrow.